What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. So, on today's episode, I am sort of getting ready for the start of sports. The seasons of most of our favorite sports are going to be starting up in the next few weeks. We've got basketball, we've got baseball, hockey also has a start date, which is relatively new news. The MLS's back soccer tournament is going on right now. And I'm also thinking about the market in general. So the market, I think, it's growing, but this time period has been sort of strange for the market because we've seen so I put out a question on Twitter. Basically, I was saying, has any card gone down since the beginning of the year? And I talked about this on Instagram yesterday. A bunch of people had said the Topps 2020 project, and that sort of wasn't what I really had been. That's not what I meant. I meant rookie card. Maybe I should have been more specific, but someone did point out some Christian Yelich cards potentially have gone down a bit. Now, the speculation aspect, I think, of where we're at right now is I think the main reason why the market is where it is. So somebody had asked me as we get going here, are the top guys always going to be the best investment? And I forget completely what the exact question was. I think it was something along the lines of what happens to the middle of the road guys, in the investment pool. And I do think that the middle of the road players, specifically in the NBA, have been the best. They've done the best. They have had the best rookies from 2018 and 2019, maybe even more specifically, have seen a bunch of their cards go up in price. And the speculation of, I just think the fact that we ended the season where we did before the playoffs, and then we just had 3 months of essentially everybody having potential. If we're going to be completely honest, we went through essentially what was just speculation. Especially with baseball. I mean, baseball because they didn't even have a season. Football, sort of too. I mean, they're kind of going at the same rate where they're probably going to start the season. I think they're going to start the season on time. I'm not 100% sure. And my opinion on this is also based on, I think, listening to Boston Sports Radio. They are fairly negative when it comes to bringing people on and talking about if the seasons are going to go and if they're going to play. Because a lot of people that are bringing on are saying it's 50-50. So that's kind of why my opinion is that I think we're looking at a 50-50 shot that the seasons play and they finish up with a champion and then we move on to the next season. Realistically, I think it's a little bit higher. I think maybe the fact that it hasn't started yet, again, speculation, the fact that it hasn't started yet have given people the opinion that things aren't going to go well. And I think maybe, because I look at this, I look at every other, if you look at other countries, so yes, the other countries, the COVID disease has gone down, in total cases. In Taiwan, I saw a video of them actually, there was a whole stadium filled with people. During a Taiwanese baseball game, it was filled, and I think in that country themselves, I think something was along the lines of they've had 7 total cases in the whole country, which then someone said that's Taiwan is the same size as Florida. I don't, this was just something I saw on Twitter. But why have these other countries been able to figure out the sports and we haven't? And I think we will, because I don't think that one positive test is going to shut the league down. I would say it's going to have to be maybe some sort of whole team, or it's going to have to be 3 or 4 players in one day are going to have to test positive for there really to be an issue. And I think from there, Honestly, no. Here's what I think. I think even if 3 or 4 players test positive, that they're just going to test the other players and the other staff, and if they're not positive, they're gonna maybe they'll pause, because like they did that with the soccer game that was supposed to be played on Saturday morning. There was one of the players who tested positive, and then one of them who was inconclusive, and I think what they were saying was that the testing may not have been all correct or something like that, but one of the players tested positive, so they shut the game down for the day. They said, we'll reschedule tomorrow. They retested all the players. Everybody came back negative, except for the player, I think, that tested positive. So they'll have to just take that player. I don't know if they take him out of the bubble or what they're going to do with the player, but I would say that's probably what's going to happen with these sports, is we're going to see probably maybe a player or two test positive during the season, and then they're just going to have to shut everything down for the day, and then if they can retest everybody and then everyone tests negative, I think then we're looking at everything restarting fairly quickly. I think if they had done this maybe 2 months ago, like if in it's July, so May, April. I think if in April they had restarted and you get 1 positive test or 2 positive tests, I think they shut it down quick, and I think it's not even, they don't even go back. I think at this point we can roll back what we're looking at and say we can shut this down for the day, and then we can come back tomorrow, and if everyone tests negative, then we'll be fine. And this player can't play obviously until they're going to have to probably quarantine for 2 weeks, or however they're going to do the test. I don't know, because like they're saying it's 2 weeks, but like it could be a week, and then they test a couple times and they come back negative and they can come back. I don't know exactly what it is going to be, but I'm looking at the market as a whole, and I think there's a lot of speculation on, and one thing, it is something that's getting me a little bit nervous, but at the same time, like it's sort of just what the market has been, and there's always been speculation, but I think the thing that there's a huge difference between what has gone on the past 3 months and what went on in previous years, where I think we looked at 3 months of every player essentially having having a lot of potential, and I don't think once the season starts we're going to see who's good and bad. Like that's just, once play starts again, we're going to probably see the cream rise to the top. I think that's the saying. I don't know for sure. But we're going to probably see like the Tatums. We're going to see those top 15 to 20 players probably. All of their cards are going to go up, and then the mid-level, like 25-ish to like 40, those ones will probably either stay put or they'll go down. Granted, I thought that a lot of stuff was going to go down because of COVID. So the market sometimes just doesn't make sense, and I've had conversations with people on Twitter about this, and like some people are saying like there has been a bunch of reasons financially why the market has gone up. I added student loans into that conversation. People haven't been paying their student loans, so once that comes back in, I think there's going to be less money. There's going to be less money in the market if people still have the cards, because if I were to, I'm going to be doing some selling in the next few weeks probably. Like I'm going to be doing some inventory and listing some cards today. And if the cards, I think the cards of the players that play well will continue to rise. Maybe not at like the double, triple, quadruple rate that they have. But I do think the speculation aspect of the market, because that's what, during the offseason, if cards are ever rising, it's because of that speculation. And now we have speculation where it's like there's not really, like anybody that's going to be playing is going to be part of that speculation. So I'm also not sure if maybe there's a media aspect to this, like where Zion is still the most talked about player in the NBA. Like him and LeBron are still the 2 most talked about players. Like Zion posted they posted that picture of Zion, and the internet just lost their mind, which was hilarious. And I'm also not 100% convinced that there won't be a little bit of there's not going to be some funny business going on when we see when we see the games come back, based off of the fact that like they weren't just like, hey, the top 12 teams in each conference are, no matter where you are, you can come back. Granted, sure, they picked the games and who comes back based off of who they thought had a chance to make the playoffs. But like, I don't know. I mean, the fact that the Western Conference just has like 16 teams or whatever, and the Eastern Conference only has like 10 or whatever. I don't remember the exact numbers. It might be 13, might be 12. I don't remember what it was, but I know the Western Conference has way more teams, and they did definitely adjust this based off of what Zion, and then they added a couple games so that way. Because if they had just been like the top, like I think the Pelicans are in the top 10. So if there was like top 10 teams from each conference, you can come back. Everyone at that point, everyone would have been like, "What the hell is going on here?" So I'll be interested to see the reffing and how that goes. But the whole kind of point that I want to get across here is that I think like I'll be selling some stuff, and even like I even talked about potentially restarting my collection, which I don't know how I would even start to do that because of how many cards I bought. Like, I'm going to be selling a decent amount, I think, but I'm going to be unfortunately taking some of that money and using it for the wedding in September. But I just think that I would be interested to, if I were to do that, and I think there would be still so much planning that I haven't even thought about. But if I were to do something like that, I think I would probably just sell and then just be buying like LeBron and be buying like Giannis cards if I had to, like as a baseline of what I think I would start my plan with. So I think, I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous about the speculation, and I am a little bit nervous about maybe people who came in here into the hobby if you came into the hobby in March and you bought a bunch of cards and you still have them, you've doubled your money essentially for most players. Like, for a majority of cards, I'm looking at some of the cards that I have even bought in March and bought in February, and they've doubled, even tripled in some cases. So I do get a little bit, and I think I don't know if I talked about this a while ago, but in my head, I think I'm a little bit nervous about people over leveraging themselves when they first come in because of what has just happened. I want people to enjoy this, like the hobby, and I want people to stick around because that's more people who can consume my content, obviously, or that's people who just more money that's in there in the hobby itself. And I just think that if you were buying cards in March, you made a 100% profit since then, and I think that could potentially, like, if I were to do something and then if it immediately were to give me results, then I would be going crazy. Like, for me, it was a slow build, I would say, from when I really started making a decent amount of profit. Like, it really took the market itself to start going up to really start, and it also was me making correct picks eventually. Like, and I don't think I was doing that right away when I came in. I think if I had started with basketball though too, there may have been more ammunition to make correct picks, but I started with baseball and that was a little bit confusing. So I guess that's also a scenario where if I had been in a different part of the hobby, maybe I would have made more money. Or if I had started in soccer and I had been doing just soccer, I don't even know where I'd be now. Like, if I had started in soccer and I knew everything I knew about all these other sports that I knew about soccer, which I would say over the past 6 to 9 months, I've learned probably the most about soccer. And I would say I know as much about soccer as I do most other sports, or cards at least. It's just the sport itself I'm still learning. But, like, if I had started there and then kind of gone into the cards, I think that would have been pretty crazy too. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what Mbappe's would have been in 2018. I'm sure they were, when the cards first came out, I don't know. I mean, they must have been 50 cents for one of them, or like $20 for a PSA 10 for whatever. So, I mean, that's what I'll say. If you're listening to this podcast, I think you probably, if you're listening to a hobby podcast, you probably have been in the hobby for a little bit, or you're just learning. And if you're just learning, here's what I'll say. If you have the opportunity to sell some cards that went up that are borderline players in the league, maybe sell them, and then put that money towards something more long term. If you're looking, because here's the other thing: if you're not buying a card for the long term, then you shouldn't be worried about how much profit you're making on that specific card. If you're making the profit and you can sell it for more than you bought it for, you should be happy from that standpoint. But if you're buying long term, I think you should be selling now and putting more money into LeBron's or Giannis or I mean Luka. I would say that's kind of my, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on with sports restarting. What I think people should do. But at the same time, who knows? We could just continue to see ridiculous hobby growth and people could continue to make money at the same rate. I just don't necessarily. I think we saw 3 months of speculation, which I don't think we'll see. I don't think we're going to see that the same way over the course of the next 12 months that we did over the course of this last 3. Because of the way that now sports are all restarting and they're all going to have a quick off season. So the opportunity to buy cards when they're cheaper in the off season is going to be, there's going to be a shorter window. And I think that also then is going to lead to a shorter window there's a shorter window to buy cards when the hype is down. But I think there was the speculation aspect of it. We're going to see really quickly who are the good players and who maybe aren't, because it's going to be this season and then short off season and then right into the next season, basically starting in December. So that's kind of my thoughts on with everything restarting, sort of my opinion on where I think people maybe should just decide to make some profit. Like it's not a bad thing to make profit. That's what another thing that I think maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe hobby people, because I don't know. That's interesting. I would be interested to see if someone has gotten a chance to make profit and then they didn't and then it went down. I'd be interested to see where that has happened and why that happened. I'm going to maybe I'll do a little bit more research on that. But that's all I've got for this episode. I want to thank everyone for listening. Go follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. New YouTube video is up, and if you haven't smashed the like and subscribe button, I'm just disappointed, extremely disappointed. So please go do that. Go share the video in case you missed it. Just go do all that stuff. It would be super cool of you. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.